Washington Assistive Technology Act program. Sorry.
Yeah.
And we have Naomi Namekita with us tonight. She's staff at WATAP, and she's been helping us with a number of different things over the last year while we've been doing this Dan Thompson grant. And part of the wrap up of that work with them was to facilitate 1 and 2. Part 2 will be coming next month. Smart home technology sort of introduction in 1.0 and then 2.0 next month. Kind of give you an introduction to what smart home technology could be, kind of resources there are, and what it might do to help increase independence for people with disabilities. So Naomi's going to take it over in a minute. We are going to ask you to hold your questions, like she'll answer them at the end, but if you want to put them in the chat so that you don't lose track of whatever came to mind as she's presenting. She has a PowerPoint to share. Then she will address all of those. We've got 7 to 10 minutes at the end for her to address those questions, but put them in the chat so we can capture them, and that way we'll have them and be sure that we include those when we send things back out. We are going to record this, so it will be available for viewing and reviewing. And Naomi graciously said she would share her PowerPoint with us that we can also send out to people. So I don't want you frantically taking notes. Know that you have access to this info afterwards, and just be able to spend your time and kind of really dive into what it is she's sharing instead of frantically taking notes about it. So Naomi, it's all yours.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for the introduction. I am going to go ahead and share my PowerPoint here. Okay. Now, hopefully you all can see the PowerPoint. Oh wait, give me 1 second. I think I forgot to choose one thing. Okay, I can't really see the Zoom interface when I'm doing this presentation, so I apologize if anyone has a hand raised or you can't hear. So please go ahead and unmute and let me know because I can't see the chat. So today we'll be talking about the essentials of smart home technology. My name is Naomi Namakata, and I am an assistive technology specialist for the Washington AT program. And first off, I do want to share a little bit about our program. Now, we're called the Washington Assistive Technology Act program, but we just refer to ourselves as WATAP. And really our goal is to provide AT resources and expertise to all Washington residents. We want to help individuals make good decisions around purchasing and obtaining assistive technology. We have an assortment of assistive technology in our lending program, and I'll talk a little bit about the services that we have available. We are a federally funded and mandated AT program, and we reside at the University of Washington Center for Technology and Disability. So what is assistive technology? When I started in this field 20 plus years ago, barely anyone knew what AT was. And luckily, I think awareness has increased tremendously around assistive technology, in particular because there are a lot of mainstream devices that now support individuals with disabilities. So AT is really any product or service that makes tasks easier or possible for an individual with a disability. So there's, at the low end of assistive technology, a long shoehorn for someone who has back injury so that they can put their shoes on more easily is considered assistive technology. At the far end of the spectrum, we might have something like a robotic arm that assists someone in feeding themselves who have upper body paralysis. Smart home technology is also considered AT because it does help individuals perform tasks that are otherwise difficult or impossible, and they're kind of in the mid-range here in terms of the technology spectrum. If you are interested in learning more about assistive technology, The AT3 Center's Explore AT website is excellent. They have a lot of resources there, and there is a link to this on this page. So again, we'll share the PowerPoint so that you have an opportunity to access that website. So the WATAP team is very small. As you can see, we are tasked with covering the entire state. And so we keep pretty busy. Alan Canoe is our director. Myself and Maria Kelly are AT specialists. Scott Kanan manages the lending program amongst many other tasks. If you call WATAP, he is the one who answers the phone and responds to your emails. Brennan Johnson is our AT support technician, and he makes sure all the technology in our lending program is working. He is also heading a project around 3D printing, which I'll share more about in a few slides. So how can we help? Our website is watap.org. You can find a lot of information about our services there. But the programs that we have that are low cost or free for consumers are device demonstration. If you can come to us either at some kind of event that we're attending around the state or in our offices on the UW Seattle campus, we can do a free demonstration of any of the equipment that we have. We also have a device lending program. We, again, have hundreds of devices, all kinds of assistive technology available for people to borrow. And really the goal there is to give folks an opportunity to try AT in their environment before making a purchasing decision. Device reutilization. There is an Evergreen Reuse Coalition that we're a partner with, and this is a group of agencies and organizations around the state that are engaged in reuse activities for assistive technology. Alternative financing is run by the Northwest Access Fund, and we always have information and referral services available. If you contact us, we can always try and answer your questions or refer you to someone who can. So our programs and services, again, are inclusive to all Washington State residents. And if you have any questions about borrowing equipment or device demonstration, whatever it is, please feel free to reach out. So this is the web interface for our lending program. It's the NATAD's lending portal. And you can search through here to see what kinds of technology we have. We have them categorized under, computer access and vision, hearing, independence, etc. And then once you click on the device, you can learn more information about what that product is. We lend things out anywhere from a 3 to 5 week period. It kind of depends on how in demand that device is. If it's really popular, we're going to limit it to a 3-week device, but there's not too many of those that are really that popular constantly. We do charge a small administrative fee, and this really just helps us cover some of the shipping costs. We will ship anywhere in Washington State and include a prepaid return label, so you can just drop it in the mail back to us. So again, for alternative financing, Northwest Access Fund covers Washington, Oregon, and I think now Idaho. But, traditional lending institutions don't often support assistive technology loans, especially if they're, specialized or customized pieces of equipment like vehicle modifications, for example. So Northwest Access Funds really specializes in providing those types of loans. They're also great at working with individuals who are on a fixed income, so they make sure the monthly payments are affordable for that individual. And also they can work on some financial coaching if someone doesn't have a credit score to help them build credit in order to qualify. Great way to learn more about the partners who participate in reutilized AT is to visit our website under device reuse. Some of the reuse partners are providing durable home medical equipment, refurbished hearing aids and hearing amplifiers, and CCTVs or video magnifiers that enlarge text for people who have low vision. So once you visit the site, you can navigate to the partner's website and see what they have available at low cost that you can purchase. I know that the durable home medical equipment, they have a hub scrub. It's kind of like a giant car wash for durable medical equipment, wheelchairs, crutches, etc. So everything that they provide has been sanitized. So for 3D printing, we have a catalog on our website of different 3D printed assistive technology that we have available for anyone for free. So you just need to contact us and let us know what you need. Provide us with an address so we can ship that item to you. Some of the things that we have are can opener, child car seat unbuckler. We have a plug puller to make electrical plugs easier to pull out of the socket. There's a toothpaste squeezer. This is really cool because you can kind of Velcro it or tape it down to your countertop and use it with one hand. Another individual requested a wheelchair mounted dog treat dispenser because they weren't able to dispense treats to their service dog. And so this device on the right here mounts onto the wheelchair, and the person just presses or moves the lever in order to drop the treat. Okay. So the I Can Connect program is one that I manage for Washington State. It's funded by the FCC, and it provides people who have both significant vision and hearing loss with free equipment and training for distance communication. The eligibility criteria is to have a significant combined vision and hearing loss verified by a doctor or professional. And then the income limit is for this year for one person household it's $60,240, and for two persons it's $81,760, and it just continues to go up from there. So we can provide really any kind of equipment that can be used for distance communication. And the FCC defines distance communication as phone calls, video calls, text messaging, email, social media, and internet access. We can do computers, laptops, desktops, any software that they need in order to access those devices, mobile devices, iPhones, iPads, Android phones, and tablets. We also do landlines and amplified phones for folks who are still using those devices. And then braille displays and signalers that would work with any of those computers or mobile devices. So if you know of anyone who might qualify for the program, please feel free to reach out. You can check out the website too, which is icanconnect.org. The Telephone Equipment Distribution Program, or the TED program, is one that is funded by the state and administered by the Office of Deaf and Hard of Hearing. This program provides communication equipment for individuals who are 4 and up, who are deaf, hard of hearing, deafblind, or speech disabled. There is a sliding fee scale for the equipment based on the client's income. And the equipment that they can provide in this program are iPads, amplified phones, cap telephones, TTY, remote control speakers. I think they do iPhones now also. So the Independent Living Blind Services is a program funded by the Department of Services for the Blind. And this is for Washington residents who have lost or are losing vision and having difficulty being independent in their home. To be eligible, you need to be 22 and up, not pursuing employment or higher education, have some level of vision loss. There are no income restrictions. If someone is pursuing employment or higher education and they're experiencing vision loss, then they would apply for the vocational rehabilitation program through the Department of Services for the Blind instead. In the IL program, they can provide up to 8 hours of direct service time for participants on a variety of tasks that support independent living, such as daily living skills, orientation mobility, assistive technology, brief adjustment counseling. And they can provide some basic equipment, sometimes magnifiers. They do have some video magnifiers, iPhones, and Echo devices available currently that they can provide training on. So if you know of anyone who might benefit from that program, there is contact information here for the program coordinator. All right, so let's talk about smart homes now. And, some people wonder what exactly is a smart home or what makes a home smart. So I have an image here. It says Home Smart Home, and it's kind of a cutout of a house with all these different rooms and then all these different devices that are in each room that can be smart. So we have locks, TVs, speakers, security cameras, blinds, thermostats, lighting, appliances, irrigation, and there is much, much more. And really, to make this a smart home, it means that these devices are internet connected and that they can share information between one another and also be accessed remotely for monitoring and management. Now, because these devices can communicate with each other, you can create automated routines and set up other scheduled controls for the devices based on a user's preference. So when you're considering implementing some smart home tools, the first question you want to ask yourself is, what do you want to do? There's many kinds of devices out there, and it can be kind of overwhelming. So it's better to identify the task first and then go and look for the equipment. So do you need lighting control? For example, do you need to turn on and off lights remotely? Maybe someone doesn't have the ability to turn on a switch and reach a switch on the wall. So maybe they prefer to either use a touchscreen interface or use their voice to control their lights. Climate control, is there a thermostat that needs to be smart because perhaps someone doesn't have the vision to see this thermostat to control the temperature? Home access. How about a smart doorbell or a lock? Perhaps you want to know who is coming to your door for security reasons and maybe have a conversation with them before opening the door if it's someone that you don't know. Home security and safety. There are a number of security cameras and sensors available to help monitor your home. Personal care. There's a growing number of devices for personal care, such as the smart shower, smart bidet. This can help with independence and grooming and hygiene. Home maintenance. Sometimes people rely on caregivers to do some home maintenance tasks and it gets neglected or it falls off the list if there's lots of other tasks that need to be accomplished first. So a robot vacuum could be a tool that is used to help with that. Health management. This is also a growing field for smart devices. Maybe you need something that will help you track your medication or remind you to take your medication. And finally, entertainment. Everyone wants to be able to access music, TV, whatever it is, in the format that they prefer. So for most folks, using any of these types of devices is really, a convenience, even a luxury. But for other people, individuals with disability, it's really an essential set of tools to be independent in their homes. And Smart Homes Made Simple project is an excellent resource. If you visit their website, they have a lot of great content around accessible homes or accessible smart homes for individuals with disabilities. So I do want to play this clip here that talks about one of their users and how they've benefited from using smart home tools.
Let's meet Sam. Sam is a 22-year-old college student who lives in off-campus apartments. Sam has a developmental disability which affects her ability to learn, pay attention, and remember steps when completing simple everyday tasks, which results in her mom frequently coming up to her apartment to check up on her. Sam is frustrated with her mom's constant supervision. However, Sam's mom has been providing Sam assistance with her everyday tasks up until the time she has moved out, and is worried about Sam if she is not frequently supervised. Sam's mom respects Sam's ambitions for living independently, but wants a solution so she can feel comfortable about Sam living independently that also gives Sam more independence. As a solution, Sam and her mom purchased the Google Home and Google Assistant on her Android smartphone, Google Watch, and Nest Hub smart display. Sam set up her smart home to predominantly use voice command to interact with her devices. Voice access allows Sam to have control anywhere in her apartment, so she does not have to remember to carry her smartphone with her all the time. Sam's devices help her perform daily activities because she receives verbal cues from her voice assistant, visual cues from her smart devices on her smartwatch, smartphone, and smart display, and tactile cues from her wearable devices that give a vibration to her wrist to remind her of set reminders and notifications to assist with her needs. Sam used to struggle getting ready in the morning, which often resulted in her being late. However, Sam's smart lights and voice assistant play a big role in making her morning routine successful. Sam customized her morning routine to begin at 7 a.m. when her alarm goes off. Her bedside lamp will then turn on, along with her voice assistant, stating the time, weather, and calendar appointments for the day. These cues allow Sam to hear her schedule for the day and get ready accordingly. Sam set up her voice assistant to state when she has 30 minutes and 15 minutes left before she has to leave her apartment for the day at 8 a.m. Sam takes several medications throughout the day and sometimes forgets to take a dose. Sam purchased a smart medication dispenser, which dispenses the medication and sends reminders to her smart devices at scheduled times to help ensure she never misses a dose. Additionally, a sensor in the dispenser can notify Sam's mom if she misses a dose. Sam would often get distracted during cooking tasks and forget to turn off lights when she left a room or lock the door when leaving her apartment. To reduce these safety and security risks, automated routines and sensors were introduced, allowing the front door to lock and lights to turn off when geolocation sensors in Sam's smartphone detect she has left the apartment, while motion sensors, smart countertop oven, and cooking apps on her smart display help her stay on task while cooking and ensure appliances are turned off when she is done. Additionally, installing smart smoke and CO2 detectors allow alerts to be sent to both Sam and her mom's smartphones if an emergency were to occur. As a student with a frequently changing schedule, Sam has struggled navigating different apps to plan out her week. Now, Sam tells Google Assistant to add upcoming meetings and assignment deadlines to her shared to-do list and calendar apps, and her mom can remotely assist Sam in planning out her weekly schedule. Additionally, routines help ensure Sam receives reminders for all upcoming events and assignments. Sending visual alerts to display on her smartwatch, along with vibrations to catch her attention, which has improved her ability to switch between tasks and get to appointments on time. While visual reminders on her smart display and phone help prioritize what assignments to work on and provide additional reminders as needed to ensure they're submitted on time.
Okay, I hope that was understandable for everyone. It sounded like the sound was glitching a little bit. But that was a lot of information, and there are a lot of great tools that she's using in order to help her stay independent and on task.
Let's meet Sam. Sam is a 22-year-old
on her own. So, you know, there are some basic needs to consider when you're implementing a smart home. First of all, you do need high-speed internet service. A lot of the devices connect via Wi-Fi and internet. And if you don't have high-speed services, some of those devices can fail or become unreliable. You do also want consistent and reliable Wi-Fi throughout your house. If you have a larger house, you might consider using a mesh network. Basically, the mesh network is these little nodes that you plug into your outlets, and it expands your network. So it doesn't increase the speed or the bandwidth, but it improves the coverage without there being any cost to the speed or bandwidth of your network. Also, there are absolutely going to be ongoing support needs. Sometimes the devices need to be reset, sometimes they need to be upgraded, sometimes they just stop working. And so it's good to have a plan for who will be providing that kind of assistance on an ongoing basis. Finally, most of the devices require that a companion app is installed on a tablet or smartphone, at least for the initial setup. Once you've decided you have all the basic needs in place, the next step is to choose an ecosystem. So the three main ecosystems out there are going to be Amazon Alexa, Google Home, and Apple HomeKit. There are some other products out there as well. They tend to just be a little bit more, I would say in most cases, a little bit more challenging to set up and navigate. If you have someone who is particularly techie at home, they might enjoy using those tools, but most individuals are relying on these three main products. Each line, Amazon, Google, and Apple, each company makes their own products and supports their own set of products. And so once you pick the ecosystem, it's important to stay consistent with it, at least for now. Amazon Alexa has been around the longest and has the most compatible products, the largest number of compatible products. You can install the Alexa app on an Android or an iPhone, and it uses what's called skills that are kind of like apps in Alexa in order to operate the smart home products that you purchase. You can interact with the smart home products on the app or through the Echo devices, which are voice activated. For Google Home, many people like Google Home if they have an Android phone. The Google Home app automatically comes with the Android phones. And this device or this infrastructure uses the Google Assistant, and they also have the Nest products. So the Google Nest Home is the kind of alternative to an Echo device for Google. Finally, we have Apple HomeKit, and they were kind of late to the game, Apple was, in terms of smart home products. So they have the least number of products that are supported. It's easy to use with iOS devices. It uses Siri as the assistant, which many people are familiar with. And it does offer the best security for the devices and the ecosystem. All of these smart home devices have to connect somehow to one another and to your network. So there's many ways for them to connect. Wi-Fi is simple and easy. However, if you have a lot of Wi-Fi connected devices, it can lead to congestion on your network, which is going to slow down your network, make it more sluggish. Sometimes it will even cause devices to fail or not respond. So you really don't want to just buy everything Wi-Fi. You kind of want to mix up your connections here. Bluetooth is a slower connection. It's less reliable than Wi-Fi, and as a result, it is less common. There are other Wi-Fi standards that are fairly popular and well used. Zigbee, Thread, Z-Wave. These are fast and have low energy consumption. A lot of, motorized blinds, smart switches, what else? Light bulbs, lights, they tend to use one of these standards. The issue with these wireless standards is that you usually need a hub in order to operate them. Some of them, like some of the smart blinds, come with their own hub, but other times you have to get a third-party hub in order for it to communicate with the rest of your equipment. Matter is the newest standard that is coming out and becoming available with products, and this is a standard that's developed by all of the major companies. And the goal is to make all of the products work together reliably and securely regardless of manufacturer. So certainly if I was buying a product on the market now, I would look to make sure that it is Matter compatible so that I know that it can work on any platform that I choose, even if I'm using the Amazon Alexa platform now, I might want to switch in the future. So it's nice to know that it will be compatible with whatever else I might switch to. Also know that Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are less secure in terms of their connections. So how is an individual going to interact with the device? How will they control the device? Are they going to use their voice? Are they going to use a touch screen? Do they need a button? And then it's also important to consider the stability and redundancy of the interaction. So, maybe you typically use voice to control something in your home, like your lights, but what if your Wi-Fi goes out or your Echo device stops working? Then you do need to be able to control that device in some other way. So it's important to consider those scenarios and make sure that it can still be accessed. And then finally, if you have multiple users in a home with different kinds of needs, then you want to consider that there should be a variety of ways to interact with your smart home equipment. So touchscreen is probably the most commonly used and understood form of interaction with devices. Most devices, again, when you set them up, they require a companion app that you download and install. And once you do that, you can control that device with that app. However, if you have multiple devices from multiple manufacturers with multiple apps, it can be fairly inefficient if you have to go into different apps in order to access those devices. So you can use an app to control all those devices in one place, like Apple Home, Google Home, the Alexa app, Samsung SmartThings, and Homey are a couple other alternatives that are out there as well. The Amazon has come out with an Echo Hub, which is a touchscreen device that is specifically made to just control your smart home devices, and you can customize the way the screen looks. I have an image here of the Amazon Echo Hub. So you can make it a little bit more user-friendly and easy to prioritize the things that are most important for the people in your home to access. But often these interfaces can be challenging to navigate. So if someone has a cognitive disability, they might get confused here, or if they have vision loss, they might not be able to see the screen. So most people, when they think of smart home devices, they're thinking of interacting with them using voice commands. Amazon Echo is the Amazon speaker that runs on the Alexa AI. These devices are made so that you can drop in on other speakers in your home. So it's kind of like an intercom system where you can talk to other people in other rooms through the speakers. You can change the wake word for the Echo from Alexa to Echo to computer to Zigbee or Ziggy. And I find that the Amazon Echo is the easiest for creating routines or automations. The Google Nest are the Google Assistant speakers. They have more flexibility in the voice commands, so if someone has difficulty remembering a specific sequence of words for a command, the Google Nest is a little more forgiving in terms of understanding what someone's trying to get it to do. It also has smarter responses, and that's probably because it's powered by the Google search engine. So really it does a good job of answering random questions. And then you can also control some of the functionality of the display with hand motions. And finally, we have the Apple HomePod, which uses Siri. It does not offer custom voice commands. It is the most secure device. And it can also be used with an Apple Watch, which is kind of nice, so that you can use the Apple Watch to control some of the functions that you have set up for your home devices. So some individuals may need to use buttons to control a device or trigger a routine. They might not have the dexterity to use a touch screen, and they might not have the ability to voice in order to use a smart speaker. There are a number of different buttons out there, and they connect in different ways, either using Zigbee, Z-Wave, Bluetooth, or Wi-Fi. One thing to consider is how many actions you can control with a single button. So on the top middle, we have the Fibaro button. It's a big red button, so it's nice and easy to press. But it is limited in terms of how many actions it can do. I think that goes up to a triple tap. So there's 3 functions or 3 actions that you can program on that one. The Luxafor is the one below it, and it has 4 colored kind of quadrants on a square button that you can program for different commands on. And finally, we have the Aquara Cube, which is it's a cube, and so depending on which side you have up, it will trigger a certain action or command. So your options are if there's 6 sides to a cube, so you'll have 6 actions that you can trigger with that one. Motion sensors are another way to control devices. And one thing to consider with motion sensors is, do you want a proximity type sensor where you have to be directly in front of it in order to trigger it, or do you want more of a wide view? So maybe with a wide view, you have one set up in a bathroom so that as soon as someone walks in the door, you know, it will turn on lights, maybe it'll turn on the fan. Versus something like a proximity sensor, maybe you want one right by the door, which will trigger a routine for Alexa to ask you if you made sure that you have your keys, your wallet, and your lunch, and then lock the door behind you. Motion sensors and proximity sensors will time out. So again, you know, you might want to consider how long it is or be able to adjust the time for the before it times out, because you don't want to be in the middle of brushing your teeth and have the lights suddenly turn off because it doesn't sense your motion. And then finally, you want to look at the size of the device and the mounting options, depending on where you want to place it in your home. Finally, another way to trigger commands and routines is automation. I love routines and automation. I have a number set up in my home to trigger certain things at certain times a day, or if I issue certain voice commands. They can be called scenes or automations, as well as routines, depending on the assistant. And I have a graphic here that says, it's a stick figure that's saying, Alexa, good morning. And then Alexa will turn the lights on, adjust the temperature, play music, and tell you the news. So really a routine or an automation will trigger a sequence of actions that you want it to perform based on a certain variable that you select. So that variable can be time-based, it can be voice activated, or you can use a button, switch, or proximity sensor to activate that automation. Now that we've talked about interactions and kind of the basic needs for smart home, let's look at some of the smart home devices out there. So for lighting control, you have several different options for how you want to implement that. You can use a smart plug like this Fate plug if you already have lamps around the house that you just want to make smart, so that they'll turn on and off by command or on a routine. You can also purchase smart bulbs. I have pictured here the Philips Hue. With smart bulbs, you can control brightness and color as well as turn them on and off, so it offers just a little more functionality or a little more features. So, you know, maybe in the evenings you prefer a dimmer, you know, more golden or amber light compared to the color of light you might want earlier in the day. So you can program that in your smart bulb. You can also change out your light switches so that you can control your switches either by turning them on and off physically or manually, or you can also control them through your smart device, your speaker, whatever it is that you're using. It does need to be installed by a professional or someone comfortable dealing with wires. And the benefit of something like this is that you can control many lights, many of the overhead lights at once. Finally, there is a little robot switch made by Third Reality, which converts an existing light switch into a smart switch. So it's this little piece that just goes right over the switch, and there's a little robotic lever in there that will flip the switch on or off depending on what you tell it to do in the app or through voice command. For climate control, you know, again, there's a lot of smart options here. You can do a smart thermostat like an Ecobee, where you can program it to be at certain temperatures at certain times of day, or maybe, you know, it knows when you have come home and it changes the temperature then, or it knows when you leave and it can lower the temperature for that. There are many different smart shades out there. The ones that I've pictured here by Tron. But again, you can control your shades depending on time of day or even the temperature, whether it's sunny out. I have some smart blinds and smart lights in my house, and so at night I say bedtime and it closes the shades in my bedroom and it turns on my bedroom light, and then I say night night and then it turns off the light and all of that. So it can be very handy and helpful to have that set up on a routine. There are also smart fans. You can either buy fans that are smart, or if you already have a fan installed, you can actually get smart switches, kind of like the light dimmer, where you can control your fan using your smart devices. And then finally, there is a SwitchBot curtain robot. It is compatible with most of the tracks and things that your curtains will be on, and it will open and close your curtains for you. For home access, there are a variety of different smart locks out there. You do want to look for multiple methods of entry with the locks. So, maybe you want to be able to control it by voice, key, touchpad, proximity, or biometrics. You don't want to just rely on one method all the time. You do want to have a backup and have a couple of options available to you. You can either purchase and install a deadbolt smart lock or use a retrofit lock. These retrofits go over the existing locks on the inside of your door. So the Bosma lock here on the right is a retrofit lock that just fits over the deadbolt that's already there. Finally, for security, you do want to look for 128-bit encryption, two-factor authentication, just meaning that if you make any changes, you do want it to text you or contact you in a secondary way so you can confirm your identity. And then there are some that have anti-peep technology, which basically means that if someone is actually looking at the code that you're entering in your home, then you can add a couple of numbers, of fake numbers, before or after the actual code, so that someone would not be able to see what code you've entered. Other smart home technologies for home access are smart doorbells. The Ring doorbell is very popular. Ring was purchased by Amazon several years ago, so it works well with the Amazon infrastructure ecosystem. So you can connect these devices to smart speakers. So the speakers will announce when someone is at the door. You have video and audio feed to see and talk to the visitor. And you can remotely monitor anybody coming to your door through the app. If you subscribe to their service, you can actually store video also. So if you catch, we have a neighborhood kind of group or listserv, and so people have caught nefarious activity happening across the street on their Ring cameras that they can share with their neighbors. And then finally, you can have this wired into your door, or you can use a rechargeable battery for it. For home security, emergency services, unfortunately, you can't call 911 through most of these smart speakers. For Alexa, you can subscribe to this emergency assist feature where you can say, Alexa, call for help, and it will connect you to an urgent response agent who will then determine whether they need to call 911 for you. Nest Aware is the Google version of the subscription, which will contact an emergency call center near your home service for you. And then finally, with Apple HomePod, as long as you have an iPhone connected, set up the device, it can call 911 through that iPhone. Other forms of home security are monitoring. There are many, many options for smart doorbells, security cameras, smoke alarms, etc. But the issue is that if there is something happening, unless you have a service, you are the one monitoring that activity at 2 a.m. or whatever it is. So there is somebody who needs to be notified in order for someone to call 911 or call for help. If you need more monitoring from a third party, ADT, Vivint, Cove, and Simply Safe all offer services where they will monitor your home through these smart devices. For personal care items, there are now smart showers. The Moen Smart Shower you can activate by voice. You can tell it what temperature you want the water to be on. There's smart bidets that automatically open the lid when you approach and then obviously offer that bidet functionality for hygiene. The Delta Voice IQ faucet is a voice activated faucet. And then finally, there is an Amazon Smart Soap Dispenser, which will dispense soap and then time you for 20 seconds while you wash your hands so you know that your hands are very clean. Home maintenance is very popular. You have robot vacuums, robot lawnmowers. You have a window cleaning robot. Also, you can have some monitoring tools as well, like the Wallflower Smart Oven is a plug that you plug into the oven outlet and then you plug your oven into it so that it can automatically turn off if it senses that it's been on for a long time or perhaps when you're leaving the house. There's also a D-Link water leak sensor. So there are these little kind of square devices that you can place near your sinks and your laundry, wherever you might have some leaks. So it can notify you when it senses any moisture. For health management, there are many options available. You can always schedule reminders for medications and doctor's appointments with a smart speaker. You can even ask Alexa to do an audio workout. There are a lot of wearables out there now that provide information from glucose monitoring devices that stick onto your skin, sleep monitoring through this Aura ring, which measures your temperature and your heart rate and movement and gives you feedback about your sleep. The Apple Watch also does that. Fall detection, the Apple Watch will provide that as well. And then activity tracking, of course, again, you can do that through Apple Watch or the Aura ring. There's also stress monitoring devices. The Muse headband is one that is used to kind of measure your brain waves so that you can, it will detect if your brain is active or calm at a calm state, and it can help you bring yourself to a calm state by providing you feedback and giving you some meditation sessions with kind of an audio feedback to it. And finally, the Hero Smart Medication Dispenser is a smart dispenser which will automatically dispense medication since, if you haven't taken it, it will provide you with a notification or alarm. And you can also, a caregiver can also keep track of that to make sure you've taken your medication. Entertainment. Lots of options here. Everyone wants to be able to control their entertainment in the way that they want. Most of the smart TVs can be connected to Alexa or a smart speaker for some basic functionality. The Amazon Fire Stick, you can use Alexa through the remote, or you can also connect it to an Alexa speaker And again, the smart speakers will play games. You can listen to audiobooks and play music on those devices. Finally, there's just a couple of devices that I think are cool that I wanted to share. The SwitchBot button pusher is a little tiny robot that will push a button for you. So, you can stick them on any kind of device that you want in order to automate that on-off switch. And then there is the third reality contact sensor. I have heard of people putting these on their snack cabinet door to make sure their kids aren't sneaking in there and grabbing a ton of snacks. But or even you can put it on the knob of your washer or dryer to know when that load has finished. It will close the circuit and let you know when it is completed. For support services, if you need help with installation or troubleshooting, Best Buy, TaskRabbit, and Angie all have smart home services available that you can contract for. And finally, just some basic tips. If you're going to start a smart home, start simple. Look for Matter devices now that that standard is available. And then build redundancy for important tasks. What if your Wi-Fi goes out for a week? How are you going to, access all the functions that you normally would with your smart speaker? And then doesn't need to be smart. Sometimes making something smart makes it more complicated. And so if you can find an easier solution, sometimes that's the better one. And finally, again, who is going to provide that ongoing support to reset that device or change the batteries or whatever it is. Right, so I guess I have 5 minutes to spare since we started a little bit late. Does anyone have any questions? This last slide also has our contact information, so please reach out if you have any questions about smart home or any other assistive technology. I'm going to go ahead and stop.
Anybody? I put a couple of questions in the chat, but if anyone else has questions, you can go first.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
What would any of those look like if they were connected to like a Tobii or a smart box like iGaze device? Or I guess, is that possible?
Yeah, you could use the touchscreen interfaces with iGaze. So, I think it's challenging to go into each of the apps to control each device separately. So you'd want to look for an app where you could access all your devices. So you could do the Alexa device or Alexa app, the Google app, or the Apple Home app, depending on what sort of ecosystem you're using. And again, there are some other third-party apps out there where you can kind of group all of your smart devices on a single app so that a user would just have to go in there and then access whatever they want to control.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So I just had a couple questions. I guess the main one is if you were to contribute, like compare all three, Apple, Google, Amazon, and you were starting from scratch and you wanted to just do the same exact things, but you would compare each ecosystem, as you called it, what's the cost? Like what's most expensive, next and next?
I think Apple is most expensive, which I think is just normal, right? But the Apple Home Pods and kind of the devices that you use are more expensive anyway.
Yeah.
The Echoes, the Echo smart speakers are super reasonably priced. The Nests are also fairly reasonable too. So,
Echo is Amazon, Nest is Google.
yep.
Okay.
There are a lot of Smart home devices that that Amazon makes also that again are low cost.
Mhm.
So I do think it is the most popular and well used ecosystem.
Amazon is,
Hmm.
yeah, okay. That was one question. Then the other one, yeah, there was that page where you had the red switch and the cube and something else.
Uh-huh.
How do you, on the cube, you said you turn a side up and that's what it does, but how do you know what side does what? Is it marked? They're color coded? How do you know what? I mean,
Yeah.
it's so you don't have to turn it over 6 times to find the right thing. How do you know which one is the top?
Yeah, there's numbers,
Okay.
there's little dots, but I think you can also stick stickers on them and things so that
Yeah.
it makes
I
it
know a
more
lot of
obvious.
people would need colors,
Hmm.
or something like that. You wouldn't be able to read the number or
Right.
figure
Or
out what it
remember
was.
what that was associated
Right,
with, right?
right. And you'd be flipping and flipping and flipping. If you didn't happen to get the right rotation, you might never get to whatever it was you wanted to do. So,
Right.
okay. Those are the two questions I had. Of course, I've seen your presentation before, so I don't know if anybody else has other questions. No? Okay. So we did record and we will have this available on our website. Once our website is finalized, it's under construction. We're praying that it's done soon. But you can always